the most notorious serial killer of America. The amount of real victims is not known. Well, officially he confessed to 30, but it was suspected 36. However, there is one interesting moment. When Ted Bundy was asked by federal agents how many women he had really killed, he claimed, "Add one digit to that and you'll have it." So what did he mean? 36 plus 1 equals 37? Or add 1 in front of 36 means 136? Or 361? We would never know it. Bundy was executed in Florida's electric chair in 1989. I want to begin this video with the final words the judge said in the courtroom, because those words describe the nature of a true psychopath. It is an utter tragedy for this court to see such a total waste of humanity, I think, as I've experienced in this courtroom. You are a bright young man. You'd made a good lawyer, and I would have loved to have you practice in front of me. But you went another way, partner. You could not choose more appropriate words to describe a true psychopath. High intellect, high adaptability to society, ability to seem normal or even better than normal, ability to make everyone around you believe that you are intelligent, honest, friendly, charming, however inside be so extremely wicked, shockingly evil and wild. My name is Darina and I run a psychology vlog for a happier living. Let's continue. Returning to the movie. First of all, the similarity between the actor Zac Efron and the real Ted Bundy is unbelievable. But here is one but. Zac Efron has very aware and sensual eyes, in comparison with the real Ted Bundy, who has absolutely empty and cold eyes. If you are going to look at his final interview, there is an impression that there is no human inside of him. He seems very robotic. No regrets, no empathy, just purely explaining the facts of his crimes, blaming everything and everyone. In his case, he blamed the porn that made him like that, and it is one of the features of psychopaths. They never take responsibility. It is always someone else's fault, and they are just victims of circumstances. Actually, if apply this concept to domestic violence, an abuser will make the victim responsible for his own violent actions. I also want to preface comments that psychopath is a wrong term. Yes, in DSM-5, which is a diagnostic and statistical manual of mental disorders, it is called antisocial personality disorder. But in this video, I want to use the good old term psychopath because it amazingly demonstrates the nature of Ted Bundy. Was he sociopath? Yes, he was. A sociopath is someone who easily breaks the rules, is violent in nature and has no remorse at all. But who is a psychopath then? Roughly speaking, it is sociopath plus narcissist. This makes him possess all previous characteristics plus high intelligence, inflated ego and feeling of grandiosity, attention and admiration seeking from other people, slyness, elusiveness, and the ability to live a double life without looking suspicious. In a movie, we see Ted Bundy escaping from American prison twice. Can you think of anyone else who could repeat this trick? He managed to live with a woman for so many years, keeping a low profile. But that's a very interesting point that requires further explanation. Elizabeth Kendall met Ted Bundy at the tavern in Seattle in 1969. So she meets this gorgeous man and takes him home the first night they met. And they do not have sexual intercourse that night. She wakes up to him making breakfast for her and her daughter in the kitchen. You can say, Darina, what is wrong with that? He seems like a man of dreams. Exactly, but how likely it would happen in real life? One of the prominent features of psychopaths, they know how to fit in and get people to like them. They sense on some animal level what a particular person needs at a particular time. From the outside, they look perfect, which is why it's so hard to believe that these people are capable of atrocities and cruelty. For example, if a woman lives with a psychopath who beats her regularly, when she decides to get out of hell, no one among relatives and friends will believe her, because in their eyes, this is a perfect partner. That's the superpower of a psychopath. Here is a question that arises. How someone can live with someone for 5 years, sleep in the same bed, and do not know that they live with a serial killer? Liz regularly was found in ropes for strangulation, knives, and big rubbish bags. From time to time, Ted did not sleep at home, returning in the morning after his gruesome crimes. Worth reminding that his crimes were not killer-type ones, like shooting someone from 500 meters away. No, he was fighting with his victims, and there probably had to be scratches, blood marks, bruises, and so on. And Liz still noticed nothing, or she did. Let me explain how it works. Liz was a single mom, and can you imagine, over 50 years ago, it was not the same situation as now. It was almost a stigma to have a child without being married. Also, Liz was quite shy, almost invisible, unlike Ted Bundy, who was called the most handsome serial killer in America. He had a psychology degree with distinction from the University of Washington. After, he was attending law school but never graduated due to him being arrested. By the way, he was his own attorney during the trial, so her motives are very understandable for being with him. She almost felt like she won the lotto. Citing Liz, "I was smitten by him." So she and her psyche chose not to notice a thing, subconsciously of course. Most likely her psyche used defense mechanisms called repression and denial. Repression is unconscious defense mechanism employed by the ego to keep disturbing or threatening thoughts from becoming conscious. Or denial, which in a nutshell, if a situation is just too much to handle, the person may respond by refusing to perceive it or by denying that it exists. Because if she had chosen to notice and really understand what was going on, she would have had to face the reality that her fairy tale prince isn't a prince at all, but a dragon himself. Also, it's shown very well in the film that when some little doubts flash through her mind, Ted would make beautiful promises and say, "One day, you and I will have a beautiful house and we'll get married and we'll have a big beautiful dog." And Liz, living the dream, put her rose-colored glasses back and kept going. But as you know, rose-colored glasses shatter with the glass facing inwards. By the way, if you keep watching this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more interesting psychology topics. Okay, we understood why Liz was with him, but why Ted Bundy, having this huge ego and the great choice, chose a single mom and almost invisible woman? As we already know, a psychopath is a mixture of a sociopath and a narcissist. And narcissism is a disease of self-esteem. By the way, here is an extensive video on narcissism you can check after watching this video. So there is a little worthless person living inside him who really needs to be cared for and admired unconditionally. That's a person who's very afraid of being abandoned, and Liz was that safe person that has not demanded anything from him and just loved him unconditionally. Did he love her? I think so, with the kind of love a psychopath, narcissist and maniac is capable of. This raises the question: how come Liz and her daughter Molly did not become victims of Ted Bundy? Why did he spare them? This is quite interesting. Everyone has different sides of them. Let's call it multiply sub-personalities. And Ted Bundy had them also. If we look at his real interviews, what do we see? He says that he was terrified of what he was doing when he woke up the next morning, as if it was done by some alter ego of his. Of course, we should divide the words by 10, but there is still some sense and truth related to it. For Ted Bundy, Liz and her daughter Molly were like the link to normality. They made Ted feel like everybody else, that he got a family, he got people who love him, and that he is not a total monster, because even for a monster, it is unbearable to feel like a total monster. I know this video gets a little long, but I have to tell you about another interesting character in this film, Carol Ann Boone. It's an old friend who used to be in love with him, but they weren't together. Carol met Ted during a trial, and of course, Carol thought Ted was innocent. How is that possible? How many women do you know who would do that? Ted and Carol Ann even got married in the courtroom, plus they conceived the baby in a prison and she gave birth to his daughter. So why Carol did do it? Again, same reason as with Liz. Low self-esteem, rejecting obvious things just to have a chance to be with this handsome man, plus a few psychological factors. Of course, all reasons are subconscious, and she did not consciously realize why her feelings for the serial killer were so strong and why she believed in his innocence so firmly. The first reason, she wanted to be a part of something big and important. The trial of Ted Bundy was intensively highlighted in the press. It was also open to the public, and can you imagine that this girl, Ann Boone, with an average life working in the office now, is a wife of a person that is in all newspapers at that time, fighting by his side. Of course, magical thinking as a protective mechanism is in action here, and same like Liz, she did not allow a thought for a second that he is a brutal killer. Denial and repression are in action. Another reason, an idea of beauty and a beast. He is that awful with everyone else, but not with me. Of course, it is a narcissistic desire to be chosen by someone special. Her connection with Bundy made her powerful and exceptional, as she could hypothetically choose a normal guy from the same office or someone working next door to have a family and children and live happily ever after. But no, Ann Boone chose Ted Bundy and chose to be a part of his story. By the way, Carol Ann gave Ted Bundy a daughter. She was 6 at the time when her father, Ted Bundy, was executed. Of course, Ted never loved Ann Boone. She was just this supporting crutch for him and a good defender in the eyes of the public. So he technically was using her, which is super typical for the psychopath and a manipulator. And till the end of his days, he was trying to reach out to Liz. She was the only person whose opinion mattered to him. Quite a telling episode at the end when he confesses to her regarding one crime. He steps on his ego to look good and innocent because it is important to him to feel close to Liz one more time and show his vulnerability, even though he understands it will be his last time talking to her. Also, it is some kind of thanks to her for supporting this last glimpse of a human inside of him for all those years. So he confessed to her to remove her suffering from not knowing what she wanted to know. And that's it for today. Share your thoughts in comments, subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Instagram, and I will see you in the next videos.